Hello, 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 hello. Hello, chat messages. All right, well, I'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. It is Wednesday, so today is another master class. I'm actually going to change the name to Crash Course because I think that's a little bit more fitting. Don't want to do a 2-3 hour master class here. Just want to kind of run through information. Um, if you don't know who I am, I'm Majesty Gale. I'm a real estate developer out of Atlanta, Georgia. Kind of got to focus on multifamily and mixed use projects right now, but still do single family. So I've done some of everything from office, retail, fix and flips, multifamily rehabs, and yeah. So I do these quick lives or what have you to just kind of do a crash course on what I get questions about. And today's crash course is actually about house hacking, what's called house hacking. And I'm sure you guys have heard of it. It's pretty popular. So I wouldn't be introducing the concept to you, but I hope to shed some light on it and kind of make it a little bit more practical for you. So ultimately, house hacking is the attempt to get rid of your mortgage, to make your mortgage free. And you do so by playing the real estate game across multiple units, and then you get to live in one of the units for free. Um, I'll into a little bit more depth about it. Like I said, I'm sure you heard about it, and I just want to talk about the main way to kind of get that done. So the idea is that you're going to live in one unit and you're going to rent the others out. This works best if you have a duplex, a triplex, or a quad. That's really what you want here. You want a duplex, a triplex, or a quad. You can do it with the house. For example, you can do it with Airbnb and pad split and stuff like that, where you split up the rooms. But in my opinion, that's a little bit more challenging. You don't get as much of the benefit from the real estate. Um, a tenant that's renting a room is not the same as a tenant that's renting an apartment. It doesn't value the same in an appraisal, what have you. So right now we're gonna focus on the actual purchase of duplexes, triplexes, and quads. Um, these can be purchased with a regular residential loan, meaning FHA, VA, or conventional. I think that the best approach is either VA or FHA because they require the least down. Now, VA, that's for veterans, is 0% down. So you can't really get better than 0% down. FHA is 3.5% down. So you can buy a quad with 3.5% down. There's down payment programs as well that will cover that 3.5% for you and make it a no money out of pocket purchase. You also can purchase these properties with a conventional mortgage, but conventional mortgages require you to put a lot more money down. I'm typically seeing anywhere between about 10% to 20% down. So let's just say that we're looking at a quad because we're gonna go big. We're looking at a quad, which is 4 units. Let's just say 4 units. They have 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. Right? You're a single person. You don't have kids. You don't have a big family. So you live in one of the 2 bedroom, 1 baths, and you rent out the other three, and the rental income from the other three basically cover your cost of living in that one. So you benefit from not having basically a mortgage payment. You own the property, right? So you're a landlord, you're a homeowner, and you're an investor all at once. The beautiful thing about it, obviously, is living mortgage free, but also the best thing about owning property, especially multifamily property, which this somewhat qualifies as multi-property. Multifamily is usually 5 units and up, but you got more than 1 unit. The best thing about it is the appreciation because you're going to get a lot of equity while they're paying down your mortgage. Like your mortgage is being paid down, so that quad that we bought for, let's say, 400,000, 100,000 a unit is the debt is being paid down on that. So maybe a year, 2, 3 years from now, you own that property there's only a loan for 300,000, but it's worth more than that 400,000 now. So that difference, you get that equity in that difference. So that's a quick rundown of it for the most part. Like I said, you can buy quads and duplexes and triplexes with the same loan that you hear people buying houses with 3.5% down. So it's possible. And then you have the VA loans as well. Like I said, those are zero down, but you have to be a veteran, meaning you had to be in the military and, honorably discharged and all that stuff. And conventional, you can buy with conventional as well. It's just a little bit more challenging. And the trick with FHA that a lot of people do is the live in it for 2 years and then move out type thing. And you can really kind of do this over and over again in a cycle if it makes sense for you, and live rent free, but also build a rental portfolio, and build your tenant base as well as you go along. So it's pretty amazing situation, specifically because of the FHA loan and the VA loan that is available. You don't have to put a lot of money down, so you can end up paying less than you would if you rented out an apartment. And like I said, this works best for people that don't have big families, don't have kids and wife and everything like that, because you're usually not going to get a lot of space. There are duplexes that are bigger, and quads and everything like that are bigger, but most of them are about 2 to 3 bedrooms, usually 1 bath. If you see one with 2 baths, it's kind of rare. But this is what you're looking for when you're looking. Now you can just go on Zillow or anywhere and kind of just search for duplexes, triplexes, and quads on the site. But this is what you're looking for when you do find like a list of them that are available. So you're obviously looking for separate entrances, right? Like you don't want to have to enter in the same entrance. You want it to be a separate experience, living experience, and you want to be able to charge for that in rent. So you don't want it to be some type of rooming house situation. You really want it to be, you have your own address, you have your own address. Maybe it's A and B, that's fine, but separate addresses, separate kitchens, separate baths. We're not trying to co-live here. Like, we're not doing co-living. That's not what is permissible with an FHA loan. Also, you're looking for a good rental area. You want to be in a nice area because you want to be able to attract tenants. So being in a good area helps with that. They got good schools, good services, government services, things like that. Nice streets, nice landscaping. The whole nine. We know what we're looking for. And then also you're looking for a good layout. You want the layout to make sense for what you're doing. Which kind of speaks to the separate entrances, kitchen, and bath. You also want to get it in good condition if you can. The FHA loan doesn't typically allow for a lot of rehab. They do have the 203K loan that you can get to incorporate some rehab money into your purchase, but really you're looking for something that is kind of ready to go, if possible. You don't want to put too much money into it yet. In the future, if you need to refinance, a few years down the road and pull some money out so that you can make it nicer, you can do that. But I would say for house hacking, the best way to approach it is to try to get something that's move-in ready, maybe a little paint and carpet at the most, and that may have to come out of your pocket. So if you're trying to get in it with the least amount of money out of pocket, then you want to get something that's already kind of ready to go. Also, the zoning must allow for what you're trying to do. Otherwise, you'll run into some issues at some point. You may be able to get away with it for a little while, but at some point you're going to run into issues, and it's going to be a bigger problem down the line. So just make sure it's zoned as a duplex, triplex, quadruplex, whatever it is. Make sure that it's zoned for that, so that you don't run into issues down the line, because they will find out what's going on, whether it's one of your tenants that tell on you, whether it's one of your neighbors that tell on you. A lot of cities are implementing laws against, I won't say against, but they're making it harder for renting out rooms, Airbnbs. Like, the rules are kind of changing. It's like, oh, you have to live in the top part, and stuff like that. So just don't play with it at all. Look for multifamily properties that are zoned correctly, that you can rent out properly without any issues, and zoning will be the dictator of that. So just look up the zoning, make sure it's a duplex, make sure it's a triplex in the zoning records, and then you should be good to go. So I'll go over some real quick common mistakes that people make when they're renting out for the first time. As you're not an experienced landlord, there's some things to look out for. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that it can rent. You want to make sure that you understand the market and what it can rent for. You want to know what nearby rentals are renting for so that you can be competitive. Otherwise, you can't just throw out a number. I guess you could, but it may not go well. So you want to know what other areas, other properties are renting for in the area, and you want to make sure that they're comparable properties. If there's luxury properties renting for 2,000 a month, I mean, you probably shouldn't place yours there unless it's a luxury property. So you got to do some research, and an agent can help with that. A broker can help with that. A lot of people can help with that. So just reach out to whoever you're working with and see if that's what information you can get as far as comps. Also, you want to make sure that you screen your tenants properly. Like, you got to really vet tenants, and it can be a headache, but you want to do the work up front, because otherwise, you'll run into some issues down the line if you don't know what's going on with your tenants. So tenant screening is very important. Nowadays, they have a lot of services that do it for you. So it isn't as challenging as it was before, like calling references and checking this. You kind of give it to a service. It does cost, but you give it to a service and they'll do all that background stuff for you and make sure that whoever you're considering is actually, who they say they are, and that their application is what they say it is. But make sure you go through that. Try to be as strict as possible, because you'll be dealing with that person for at least a year. So, maybe as much as 5 to 10 years. So make sure you get the right person, so that you don't end up in a situation where you're dealing with landlord issues like evictions, anything like that. So just consider all of that. Also, maintenance reserves. You got to make sure that you save some of this money that you're getting from your rentals for maintenance, because maintenance stuff is going to happen, just like anything that you have, anything that you own, like a car. You got to do oil changes. Like a house, you got to, just things you're going to have to do, landscaping, all that stuff like that. So make sure you put aside some of the money coming in for maintenance reserves, because it's going to happen. Like, if you don't have anything 1 month, that doesn't mean spend that money. Just keep funding that reserve with a certain percentage, whatever makes sense for you. Even if it's just 10% of what comes in, put that to the side, just so that you'll be ready for maintenance reserves. And also, you want to make sure you don't violate the FHA rules. You must live there for 12 months. So the one that you live in it for 12 months. Make sure you do that so that you don't run into any issues there. You can move out and keep the loan. You actually can do it again. But you must live there for 12 months. So you live in that one for 12 months, and then you move out, you buy another quad, and you do it again if it makes sense. Or you go ahead and just buy your home at that time if you're ready. Go ahead and buy your single family home, keep that quad, and now you have a portfolio, you have a property in your portfolio. So I would say, for the most part, starting out with a duplex, triplex, or a quad, using an FHA loan or a VA loan if you qualify, it's a great way to enter the real estate market, also to bring down your personal costs. I mean, who wouldn't like to not have to pay for their housing out of their pocket? To have someone else paying their housing. I mean, it's like a government subsidy without, going through the government process. So I hear a lot of people asking about it. So I just want to, kind of run through this video. I'll run through the details real quick. You can refi out in about 1 to 2 years if you need to. I think you should hold on to it and see where it goes. I mean, appreciation with real estate has been crazy over the past 5 to 10 years, so there's really no need to sell it. But at that point, you can really just stack your cash. You could just save up at that point. You don't have a housing payment, and you have people paying you monthly. If you did everything right, you screened your tenants right, you did your comps right and your market study to understand what you can charge. You got a good property, that didn't need a lot of work, had good bones, good systems, everything like that, then you'll be set to go. So just wanted to run through, that breakdown of house hacking real quick. If you have any questions, any ideas, just let me know. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I appreciate your time, and catch you on the next video, guys.